Hello and welcome to an update to the World Space Trees shader. I've had to remake this shader because of this error, particularly because I had created the original shader using Shader Forge and it's now deprecated. So if you've still got this message, then you can easily just go into the shader folder here and you'll see deprecated can delete, and it should be, if you delete this, then hopefully nothing goes purple. Everything's okay because I've switched everything out, and you should be able to clear that message now, and in theory it won't come back when you play, apart from that. Okay, that's probably just some other thing, but yep, don't worry about that. If you're still getting issues, just re-import. I think everything, all the materials should be using the new stuff, so I basically labeled everything with AS for Amplify Shader, so you can see that's all got AS, so they're all using the Amplify Shader. I've made new prefabs up, I've upgraded the mesh because it was on -90, because I've learnt a few things since I did this pack initially. So what you get in this pack is a tree mesh that uses the shader system that lets you move the trees around, and they'll switch based on their location in the world. And you've also got control of movement. I've updated the materials quite a good bit, giving you more control of translucency, because Amplify Shader, when you plug in translucency, it automatically gives you all these controls anyway. So you can kind of muck around with these. It's really hard to see anything happening in the view here. Let me just move the directional light around like that, maybe behind, and you can see it's the strength is there. But what I've done also is created this darkness on sundown, so that you've got control when the sun goes down, that it starts to kill the effect. So you can see the sun is up, and then as the sun goes down, then you can increase that darkness on sundown to a certain degree, and it means when it's night time these things aren't really glowy, which is sometimes a problem. So that makes it work quite nice for day and night. I've also applied that effect to the tree trunk, so that at night time it doesn't get too much. So you can see darkness and sundown there as well, and you can fine tune that. So I've updated the shaders with some other things. You've got gloss control here. You can switch your row and column. You can turn off the world space offset if you just want them all to be the same. Let me bring that light back. Okay. You've got your usual movement, speed, and range, which I think I've probably increased a little bit more. And you can write scripts to tap into this shader. If you want to know the variables, then just do select shader, and you can see all the variables here that you can tap into. You would use get float and set float, material render.material.get float, and you would get these, apply them to float, or get color if it's a color one. So you see the floats, and I think there's some color ones as well. Maybe not so much in this one, but yeah, you can play with these values, especially the darkness and sundown. You can control that via a script if you wanted. So that's pretty much it. Let me just go over everything again just in case I've missed anything. So you can switch these rows and columns, put the world space on so that when you move them, so let me just move a bunch, you can see they automatically change. What's this guy not moving for? Okay, he's a check one, I'll just get rid of that. Okay, so yeah, no matter where you move them, it takes their world position and it means you can just duplicate a bunch and you'll get some variety from them. And if you wanted, you can make a copy of like the material, like so, and change something like the loss value, or switch column. You can change some of these and apply that to like a bunch of them. So you can take that one and apply it to that, and you get even more variation. And then, you know, duplicate that bunch, move it around, and there we go, we get a slightly different tree. And it would be great for making like a park or something, like an autumn park. In a future update, I'm going to start working on these textures to be a little more in line with each other. So instead of 4 complete variations of different leaves, maybe make them kind of similar, like this will be like a unaffected one, this one will be a bit more weathered, this one maybe darker, a bit more, you know, weathered as well, and this one maybe a bit more bare. That way you get the same kind of bunch of trees but different variations of it through the texture, and that will look quite cool if you've got a set type. So I'm thinking of doing like pine trees, blossom trees, oak trees, and maybe some Japanese type ones, because I think that would be cool. But as I say, this is the free pack, and I might branch off and do like a paid pack from this as I do more content for it, because of the time. I'm kind of stuck for time at the minute with other stuff, especially maintaining some of the paid things on the store. But I'm sure you'll like this update. Hopefully you still get the results that you got with the original Shader Forge one, and maybe it supports a few more things. But I think it looks quite nice. Oh, you also have the ability of changing the, where is it? Switch column, self-illumination. So you got some self-illumination there in case you want it to be more toony. And pretty sure there was another one called desaturate. Saturate. Anyone see saturate? Okay, maybe I got rid of it. Let's see. Desaturate translucency. Looks like I'm not even using translucency here correctly. Oh, that's specular. Okay, that's supposed to be there. That explains a few things. Okay, there we go. I've just fixed it. In that process, I've managed to make a fix. So if you've got Amplify Shader, by the way, you can edit this. So that's a pro. Amplify Shader is really good. And make up your own shaders and stuff. It's fairly easy to get used to. I'll probably do a couple of tutorials on that as well. Let's see. So that was the desaturate translucency. Oh, I'm only choosing one. So you can see that desaturate translucency takes away the sort of color tones and makes them a bit more kind of grey, and that's purely a preference thing. So I'm going to make them quite low. Self-illumination, darkness at sundown, maybe there. Strength, normal distortion, scattering fall off, the amount of direct light that makes the translucency effect. Any ambient light, you don't actually see it here for some reason. I'm not too sure if it's something to do with the lighting settings. The amount of shadow that affects it. Yeah, and I think it also works with point lights. So the directional light is used for the sundown thing, but point lights should also sort of make it look quite nice. So you can have like someone with a torch at night time. So if I make the directional light really low, let's say 0.01 or something, or even if it's 1, right, and the directional light is in its kind of sundown mode, then you've got the ability to use, like, let me just zoom in as if you're in the forest or something. Oh god, that's a bright light. Maybe 3 or something. then you can see the translucency works through the leaves and stuff, so that's quite nice. In theory, you should be able to plug in any sort of textures you've got into this system. You have to bear in mind when you're making new textures, you've got to have them in this kind of quad formation, and if you imagine this is split into 8 like a grid, then this point kind of lands just above this grid line. Doesn't go through it or anything, but just above it, because there's, you know, obviously these land on these cards here, these planes that you don't actually see unless you go into selection wire. You can see how they sit. So yeah, not much more to say on this one. If you've got any issues with it, just let me know. I'm pretty sure it's going to be easy enough to maintain now that I've updated everything to Amplify shader. I'm using that for pretty much everything shader wise these days. Learn a little bit of shader code as I go, but I'm not too fond of that side of it. I like using node based stuff. But yeah, that's everything you're going to get, and thanks for watching. Bye.